tell them check out the blog, bro. YouTube channel called MKO. It's pugilism, boxing algorithm. M stand for Marvin and Kevin's initials KO. Yeah. What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, remember to subscribe to this channel, and you know, as always, leave your thoughts below. Tell us what you think about the subjects we cover in these videos. So in today's one, I'm just going to get into the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder saga. Now this has been a thing that's been going on and on for a very long time. You know, the second fight happened. First fight a draw, second fight Tyson Fury really demolishes Deontay Wilder, and then after that second fight we heard nothing from Deontay Wilder, you know, pretty much for the entire year. I think it must have been about maybe 8 to 10 months we'd heard nothing from him, and all of a sudden he comes out with a video basically repeating all the stuff that his fans had been saying. Loaded gloves, the coach poisoned him, Mark Breland, who he's been with for several years, allegedly poisoned him, the costume was too heavy, the twerking you know, all this stuff. He came up with all these excuses that we've heard before, and you know, they've also sort of been debunked before. And you know, Tyson Fury had since very early after the second fight been calling Deontay Wilder back out, saying, "Where are you, mush? You know, I want to fight again, blah blah blah." Deontay Wilder was completely silent, had absolutely nothing to say. And then the minute Tyson Fury announces that he's going to come back, he's going to have a fight in London, and he's going to fight, you know, another opponent. He's sick of the Deontay Wilder situation. He's heard nothing from that side, you know, from their team. Now all of a sudden, Deontay Wilder comes out with that absurd video, you know, using Book of Proverbs and all this sort of thing. And, you know, a lot of it's just regurgitated stuff that everyone's heard before. And now it seems to have gone one step further, because I assumed, and a lot of people assumed, that Tyson Fury's fight in Royal Albert Hall here in London was going to go ahead, but it turns out that it's now not going to go ahead, and they're going to go to court now, and it's all going to get a bit messy with the legal teams. You know, that's according to both sides, to Shelley Finkel, who manages Wilder, and to Frank Warren. And now, from what I understand, it's all sort of going to court, and they are going to have to actually go ahead with the third fight after all. As far as I was concerned, I thought the contract had expired. I thought that, you know, by this time it was over, because we heard nothing from Team Wilder. We didn't have a date or anything, and, you know, it was radio silence. But now it looks like they're gonna have to knock their heads together, and they're actually going to have the third fight in 2021 at some point. And, you know, there's a lot of different theories on this. Some people are saying that, you know, this was a sort of set up all along, whereby, you know, they knew not many were really interested into the third fight, apart from sort of Deontay Wilder's fan base. So if they create the narrative where Tyson Fury's moving on, and then all of a sudden Deontay Wilder pops up, and then they've got to have the third fight, and then there's more interest into it, which, yeah, I mean, I think there is more interest into it now than straight after the third fight, because everyone, like myself, you know, for me it's a foregone conclusion in Fury's favor, unless somehow Wilder just lands a magic right hand. But, you know, others just feel it's just, you know, it's just a legit thing. You know, they had the contract, and, you know, Fury's kind of bound and tied into it, so they've got no choice but to fight again. And for me, you know, I'm not sure which one it is, but it looks like we will be having, from what we know now, we will be having Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder Part 3 at some point next year. And as for me, I hope if we do have it, that it's early next year, so that, you know, we can just put that whole thing to bed. I think, to be frank, we already know who the better fighter is. However, it probably will be quite exciting, but not that exciting because I think I can't really see anything other than a one-sided beatdown by Tyson Fury again because Deontay Wilder, he hasn't fought since then, and what I don't really see with him firing, especially a key part of his team in Mark Breland, a guy that really cared about him, and a guy that you could argue saved his life on that in that second fight by throwing the towel in. For you to not have wise heads like that in your team, and now what he's got in his team is what looks like just sort of yes men. Like I can't blame his own family because the guy, the brothers and stuff, that's his family. They're like, if it's my brother, I'll be on his team too, I'll be supporting and everything. But without the guys like Mark Breland who are wise and who know the game, guys like that, D's and all them sort of guys, they're just yes men, really, from what it seems. I mean, any guy who can look at that fight and say, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have thrown the towel in, we shouldn't have thrown it in, blah, 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 let Deontay Wilder get brain dead, that those guys are crazy. So I don't see, that he's really got any wise heads in his team that can really change anything with him. They're just yes men, they're just gonna let him go and box the same. And I think he just gets sort of beaten up and whatnot in the third fight, because I don't think that he's mentally gotten over or accepted the fact that he lost in the second fight. And I think if you can't accept the reality that, okay, I lost this fight, I'm going to come back better. If you're still making excuses and saying the guy must have had some, the coach must have poisoned you, the guy must have had something in his gloves, the guy must have cheated in some way, he didn't beat you. If you still believe the guy didn't beat you when he clearly did, it shows a level of sort of of delusion there. And I think he's still deluded into thinking he's somehow won or whatever. But I think with his mind state being in that place where he's delusional enough to still not have accepted the loss, I can only see the same result happening again. I think for him to even have a chance, he'd have to adapt, he'd have to adjust, and he'd have to at least accept the fact that, right, I lost, I know what I did wrong, and I'm gonna try and fix it. But if that's not your mindset, if you still think you won when you clearly lost, you're making excuses, then for me your mind's not in the right place, and you're not mentally in that space where you're gonna be able to win, because you don't think you need to change anything. You think you were all right. He said, yeah, I was just getting into my groove when they threw the towel in. I mean, that is insane. So I mean, anyway, we will see what happens with it, and looks like we will get Fury Wilder 3 after all. I only hope that it comes early next year so we get it out of the way and move on to the undisputed fight. And that's not to by no means do I have anything against Deontay Wilder at all. I do want to see him do well and come back and whatnot, but I think this fight is just a foregone conclusion in my view. And anyway, until next time, this is MKO Pugilism over and out, and I'll catch you on the next one.